Hi, boys and girls. Have you ever done something that was kind of silly? Maybe something that wasn't too smart? In fact, if you have an older brother or sister, they might have said, well, that was a dumb thing to do. Or maybe, don't you know you could have gotten hurt? Well, I certainly have. And I am so thankful that there is a God in heaven watching over me when I do those dumb things. Sometimes He rescues me. Sometimes He just keeps watching over me to be sure I'll come out okay, and He helps me through it, maybe hoping I'll learn a lesson from it. How do I know this? Well, the Bible tells me so. Here we are in the book of Psalms, chapter 121. All 8 verses talk about how God watches over us. I'll start off with verse 1. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He who watches over you will not slumber. And it ends with the Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. Ooh, I am so glad for that. So, my story today is about my friend Susie and I. Now, if you remember, I lived in the country, but I didn't live on a farm. My father was a carpenter and he built houses. But my friend Susie did live on a farm. She lived probably about 3 miles away from me, so we would have to drive over to her house. And it was so fun to go over there. Her mom and my mom were good friends, and so I think that's kind of why Susie and I knew each other, because our moms spent a lot of time together. This particular day I'm thinking of was in November. It was kind of cold out. And I think my mom wasn't there, so I think I was just spending the day with Susie. And we probably had been playing in the house for a while, and her mom said, it's time for you girls to go outside. So we got dressed up warmly and we went outside. The thing that was kind of neat and fun about Susie's house was she lived on a farm, and on their farm, down the hill from the house, there was a pond. Was actually probably just a swamp or a slough, but it had water in it. And in the wintertime, it would freeze over and we could ice skate on it. So that's what we decided to do that day, was to go down and check out the pond and see if there was ice on it or not. So we went out of the house and around the yard. You couldn't really see the pond from the house. There were trees in the yard and the house was facing kind of a different direction. So we went down to the pond, and down at the pond we found that yes, there was ice on it, but it was very thin, very, very thin. But we found something else by the pond, and that was her brother's boat. He had it over to the side. It was just a little rowboat, and it really was kind of beat up. Wasn't in the best of shape. There were a couple of oars to go with the boat, and unbeknownst to us, it also had, I think, a hole or two in it. Well, anyway, we had this bright idea. Let's see if we can take the boat across the pond. So we got in the boat, and I remember Susie was in the front. She grabbed the oar in the front, and I was in the back, and I had the oar in the back. And this is what we were doing. Susie would take her oar and bang on the ice and break it so there'd be a little path for us. And then I would take my oar and push, because the pond wasn't very deep. And so I would push on the ground in the pond and make our boat go forward. So that's what we did. We were working our way across the pond. Susie banging and banging on the ice to break it, and me pushing from behind. Well, pretty soon we got probably about halfway across, and Susie was getting tired. That was a lot of work, banging on the ice all the time. So we decided to trade places. Okay. Well, already there was a little bit of water in the boat, and when Susie and I went to trade places, we both kind of stepped on the same side of the boat. Well, when you put all the weight on one side of the boat, what happens? It tipped way over, and a bunch of water came in. Well, then we both rushed to the other side of the boat. Oh, and then it tipped on that side, and a bunch of water came in, and pretty soon, really quickly soon, that boat was full of water. And you know what boats do when they're full of water? They sink. And that's just what this boat did. It sank down under the water. Oh dear, there we were. And I, not thinking about how shallow the pond was, all I knew was I don't know how to swim. And so I'm yelling, I can't swim, I can't swim. And Susie got out of the boat and started walking towards shore. Now, why we didn't go back the way we came where it was broken, I don't know. But we went forward. So Susie was breaking the ice with her knees or her legs. It was cold. It was really, really cold, and she kept going, and I'm coming along behind her. And finally, we got over to the edge of the pond, and then we ran like everything up to the house. And lo and behold, at the door to the house, there was Susie's mom. She was ready and waiting for us. She had some warm blankets. She also had a tub full of hot water, so she helped us get the wet clothes off right away, got us right into the tub of warm water, and then wrapped us up in warm towels and blankets, and we were cozy before you knew it. And because of that, we came out of that just fine. We never got a cold, nothing. We didn't get sick or anything. And I thought, wow, that was just great. How did Susie's mom know from the house that couldn't see the pond, how did she know that we needed a tub full of hot water to get warm and warm blankets? Well, after I grew up, I was visiting with Susie's mom one day, and I brought up that story of what happened. And she said, oh, I'll tell you the rest of the story. What happened was Susie's dad heard you girls outside, and he thought, what are they up to now? So he walked over to that hill above the pond, and he watched us as we were working our way with that boat, because he knew it had a hole in it. He knew it wasn't going to end well. And so he watched to see what would happen. He was ready. If we needed it, he would have run right down the hill and helped us. But he watched to see if we were going to make it, and he could see we were going to make it. So as soon as he saw that, he hurried quickly to the house and he said, Mother, get a tub of hot water ready. You're going to have some cold girls here in just a few minutes. And so she was all ready for us. Aren't you glad Jesus gives us moms and dads to help take care of us? God watches over us, but he also gives us moms and dads to help watch over us too. Let's thank him, shall we? Will you pray with me? Dear Jesus, thank you so much for loving us. Thank you for watching over us and helping us learn when we do dumb things. We love you. Amen.